All right, folks, how you doing? So I got to give a massive shout out to Ricky D. Phillips. He really did me a solid recently. He sent me these newspaper articles online, or these online sources, whatever you call them, about this theorized global conflict called World War Zero. And I clicked through the sources and I started reading the articles and I binge read them. And from there, I thought, I wonder if anyone out there has written about this theorized global war. And so I went on Amazon, as I tend to do, because I only spend my money really on two things, books and beer. And I had a look and it came up this this book, World War Zero by author Steve Preston. And I have been absolutely binge reading this book cover to cover. Absolutely fascinating source. But then I thought, I wonder if he's written any other sources. Sorry, what was I saying? I just had another delivery in there, another book about half an hour ago. Just got the Amazon delivery, this big box full of books. So this is a prolific writer. He's written well over, I'd say, about 2 dozen books. I mean, I haven't even bought all of them yet, and I just had 12 of them arrive. Less than half an hour ago. Also got this book here, The Antediluvian War Years. Absolutely fascinating. Love this subject. Another one right here. Truth about Phoenicia and the lost Jews. Personally, I think the Phoenicians and the Jews were the same people. We'll see what this book has to say about it. Certainly a source of fascination for me, given my paternal heritage through Clan Fraser. As I've said before, of and Ashkenazi and Sephardic lineage on my father's side. On my mother's side, I'm Norse Irish. So, I've got very much two different distinct lineages on either side.
Being split in two halves is no theory with me, Doctor. I have a human half, you see, as well as an alien half, submerged, constantly at war with each other. Personal experience, Doctor. I survive it because my intelligence wins out over both, makes them live together.
Four Armageddons. Absolutely fascinating, talking about cataclysm in the past that ties into Atlantis and Lemuria, Hollow Earth to an extent, and global floods and global cataclysms. Return to the Moon Now. This only got 1 star on Amazon. Not typically the kind of book that I would purchase. I don't normally purchase books with 1 star, but the author himself has won me over, so I'll give it a chance. Plus, the moon is a source of fascination for me. This one, an absolute must, considering what I'm covering at the moment with The Mars Mystery by Graham Hancock, simply called Martians. Should be fascinating. What's the next one here? Oh, hang on. When the Earth Exploded. Just love the title on that one. Absolutely fascinating. Global cataclysms in the past kind of thing. Here's another one. Complex Earth. Absolutely right. The history of our planet is far more complicated than anything you'll see in Dynamic Earth in Edinburgh or the Smithsonian or the National Museum on Chambers Street. The history of our planet, we haven't even begun to scratch the surface. That's why I have such admiration for Graham Hancock, because he says pretty much exactly that. We haven't even begun to scratch the surface in terms of archaeology and other sciences, in terms of digging up the past, literally and figuratively, absolutely fascinating. I mean, I just love the title alone. The title alone would have sold me on this film. Absolutely right. World War Before, the prequel to World War Zero. The Earth, you wouldn't believe the trauma. Michael Tazarian talks this all the time on Slave, talks about this constantly, the unresolved psychic trauma in all human beings because of our history, because of our past, because of our cataclysmic, prehistory, absolutely here. World War Before, the number of comets and meteorites that have hit this planet over and over again, the unresolved trauma we're all going through, that we all have to address in order to heal and move forward. It's certainly something I'm very much interested in along parallel lines with Michael. Though I don't think he'll ever talk to me again, but that's another story. End of the World, how past extinctions and written testimonies verify the future. Prophecy, scary stuff considering what we're facing with Russia and potentially the Third World War. By the way, if it comes to going to war with Russia, if what Thomas Beaumont has said in his books, Britain, the Key to World History and the Great Deception, the Russians have been trying to conquer Europe forever. So, Putin trying to conquer Europe now would just be the same old story, rinse and repeat. Here we got Scythians conquered Ireland. This ties into the whole thing about the Scythians, Phoenicians, the ancient Jewish people, Again, absolutely a must for me. No way I was never not going to get this. Because also We the Scythians, a book by David Allen Ritchie. The Scythians are actually the Scots. That's where the Scots originally come from. Is kind of like Kazakhstan and Ukraine, that area. I mean, that is what is written in the Declaration of Arbroath, I believe it is. Talks about exactly this. We come from Scythia.
Who ever heard of a Jew riding horses?
Well, anyone who's studied history, but thanks for that pithy racism there, Olivia. That's what the ancient Scots themselves said. So the whole thing about the Scythians conquering Ireland, well, it wasn't just Ireland, it was Scotland as well. But, you have to start somewhere. And, hang on. Victory of the Earth, absolutely fascinating. So I've got all these books to get through. It's just a shame I can't focus, I can't concentrate entirely on these books, on these sources, 24 hours a day, but I've got more than enough material here to keep me going for months, potentially years on end, if we don't all get blown up by the Russians beforehand. There's no guarantee of that, but it's given me a lot to work through. Hopefully, before World War III kicks off, I'll be able to make some kind of a indentation into all those sources. So massive shout out to Ricky D. Phillips to be an absolute solid on that one. And by the way, there's another book that's not even arrived yet. No, it's only one book. There's two books I want to get on the planet Venus. I can only get hold of one of them at the moment because the whole Venus-Mars conflict is played out in Star Wars. People bitch about sequel trilogy, Disney trilogy, Disney Star Wars is crap, blah, blah, blah. And fair enough, they do have a point. It is pretty pish, to be honest. But when you see Rey fighting Kylo Ren, when he gets that big slash across his face, like that in The Force Awakens, and you see that big scar. That's the Valles Marinaris on Mars, because Kylo Ren is a stand-in for Mars, and Rey is a stand-in for Venus. You'll see that if you know how to decode the symbolism. So, the story is played out in front of you. You have to look past the emasculation of Luke Skywalker and the flashy visual effects and absolutely shite, dialogue and all that, because the story of the universe is played out in Star Wars. The mythology of our history and all that is all played out. Maybe do a series on that one day. But anyway, thank you for watching. I'll leave your thoughts and comments below.